Hi everyone, my name is Jolie Klefeker. Thanks so much for tuning in. My project is called What Human-Computer Interaction Can Learn from ASMR, Becoming Enchanted with the Mundane. This project began as an inductive inquiry into the meaning and relevance of ASMR-related media for tangible interactions, and ultimately culminated in the development of 2 interactive garments for attending, noticing, and becoming enchanted with our everyday surroundings. So, what is ASMR? ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, and it's defined as a pleasurable, relaxing, tingling sensation typically felt in the back of head and neck. Colloquially, this sensation is referred to as the tingles, and it's relaxing and calming for many, but some claims go as far as to say that it cures insomnia, depression, or even anxiety. Individuals typically experience this sensation in response to various audiovisual stimuli, which the community call triggers. Typically, triggers are soft, detail-oriented sounds such as whispering, tapping on objects, or personal attention such as a haircut. Some of you may be familiar with ASMR due to its popularity on social media such as YouTube. There is a thriving subculture surrounding ASMR on YouTube where video creators will focus on a specific trigger or a set of triggers and create a video with the express intention of eliciting the ASMR sensation in other people. And so we were really fascinated by the media and the subculture surrounding ASMR. We wondered if the inherent slowness and mundanity that we observed within ASMR-related media might be telling of a cultural shift in terms of aesthetic preferences and interests. We were also fascinated by ASMR's ability to inspire ineffable, effective, embodied experiences through technology. Early on, we noted that ASMR videos had very distinct aesthetics and characteristics in terms of their length, their focus on often random and boring objects, their way of addressing the viewer, their slowness, etc. And aside from the content of the videos, we were also looking into the actual recording practices that were used. There's lots of technical commonalities between popular ASMR videos in terms of their backgrounds, how they're lit, how they're filmed, etc. But the most salient technical characteristic is the use of binaural audio. Binaural audio is a form of stereo audio capture where 2 microphones are situated in space so as to mimic the placement of human ears. Binaural audio has a realistic or sometimes even hyper-realistic spatial effect when you're listening to it. This recording tactic is said to be more effective at eliciting the ASMR sensation, but through our own observations, it's also just more intense and immersive than standard recording, even for people who don't experience ASMR. So with an interest in the unique subject matter, aesthetics, and recording practices of ASMR media, we began a pilot study in order to better understand how these characteristics might relate to tangible interactions. The pilot study began with 5 participants who were given a sonic toolkit which contained prompts, finger covers, and binaural audio recording equipment. They were instructed to use the kit to interact with their familiar environments for 1 day and take recordings. The prompts and finger covers were presented as optional. They were then interviewed about their experiences and the recordings that they took. What we found is that participants had vastly different interests and recorded a wide range of sounds. The 2 main overarching findings were that A, no one actually experienced ASMR during the study, and B, that the participants largely ignored the finger covers and prompts that we provided, and instead they were all pretty fixated on the experience of interacting with their environments using binaural audio. They all found this experience to be interesting, with some of them going as far as saying that it was mindful or helped them see their environments in a new and positive way. Moving forward, we honed in on binaural audio, as well as shifted away from the idea of trying to cause tingles in people and onto trying to inspire fascination and interest, like our participants experienced. Coming out of the pilot study, we engaged several different exercises for brainstorming and prototyping, which are discussed in greater depth in the paper. I'd like to tell you about one of those, which was perhaps the most influential, and we called those our sound walks, which is where I and my 2 co-authors visited different locations around our campus that had sounds that we were interested in exploring in greater depth. We took turns wearing binaural audio recording equipment and listening to our surroundings in real-time binaural audio because, like I said, for us it has that intensifying, amplifying, and immersive effect. We were able to explore CU Boulder's Media Archaeology Lab, which has a lot of older technology. We were fascinated by the clicking of mechanical keyboards and rotary phones. We also spent a lot of time outside with the expectation that we would have engaged and enjoyed natural sounds such as birds, water flowing, or perhaps footsteps. But what we found is that all of those sounds were drowned out by the whir of air conditioning units and lawnmowers. And this was actually something that was really fascinating to us because these were sounds that we had never even stopped to notice or engage with before. So moving forward, it was this idea that was incredibly influential to us, finding fascination and noticing sounds that were previously ignored, sounds that were unexpected and mundane. As we developed our garments, we engaged three main bodies of theory. The first being Kia Hook's idea of soma design, which provides a useful framework for engaging with embodied experiences in a meaningful and holistic way. We also engaged autobiographical design. This was a way for us to confront and interrogate our own ineffable feelings and experiences toward ASMR that were at the root of our interest in this work, but were just too big to put into words and therefore weren't really applicable to a broader approach at this point. We also engaged a lot of literature around enchantment. We came to understand our own experiences of fascination, these ineffable feelings toward ASMR, as experiences of enchantment. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but we mainly engaged Jane Bennett's definition of the word enchantment, which she describes as to be struck and shaken by the extraordinary that lives amid the familiar and the everyday. The idea of enchantment isn't new to HCI. Specifically, John McCarthy has worked with the two before, so we drew a lot from his work as well. So now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the two garments that resulted from the project. Myself and my co-author Laura each designed a garment for our own sole use. For our own sole use, with ongoing feedback and collaboration throughout the project between us as well as with our other co-author Libby. So the garment that I designed is called the listening jacket. The way that it works is that one simply wears the jacket and the set of binaural recording headphones that are attached to the jacket. What binaural recording headphones means is just that there is a microphone attached to each of the earbuds on the headphone, and this allows the person using the headphones to really easily and mobily record and listen to binaural audio at the same time. When a hand is raised to the ear, the microphones turn on, triggering what for me is a very intensifying surreal audio effect due to the binaural headphones. As an interactive way to understand why somebody would want to do something like this, I invite all of you to grab something random within arm's reach, whether that's a water bottle, a pencil, or even lowering your ear to your computer, and tap on it, scratch it, or shake it. See if you can get it to create a pleasing sound, or perhaps even just a sound that you haven't noticed before. And I'll give you a few seconds to do that. I started doing this frequently throughout our process as a quick way to mimic the experience of an ASMR tapping video, and also to step inside of the mind of an ASMR creator or viewer. And I found that over time, I just started doing this because I wanted to. It felt relaxing and almost whimsical, like I was stepping outside of the chaotic world around me and into one small corner of my environment. Similar to how holding a seashell to your ear feels whimsical and listening for the ocean, even if you know the ocean isn't there, I found that through wearing the jacket, I became more excited by and interested in the inanimate objects in my surroundings. And overall, I felt an increased sense of fascination with my everyday surroundings and also a feeling of calm and mindfulness when wearing the jacket. The chanting cloak, made by my co-author and advisor, Laura, is a tool for chanting or screaming or resonating with the sounds of inanimate objects. First off, Laura is able to travel around with binaural recording equipment and capture sounds that she chooses. She is then able to load those sounds onto the garment. There are capacitive sensors along the arms that allow her to browse through and select different audio files. Then there is a knitted strain sensor around the waist that can sense when she takes an inhale because of the expansion of the rib cage. So how it works is that Laura takes an inhale. At the peak of her inhale, the cloak triggers the audio playback, and then she can chant or resonate or scream with the sound that's being played as she chooses as she exhales. So we thought it would be interesting to invite you, the audience, to try your hand at this as well. What I'm going to do is play the sound of a lawnmower once so you can get familiar with it. Then I'm going to play a video with myself and my co-authors as we chant along with this sound, and I invite you to join in. So here we go.
Are we ready? 3, 2, 1.
So what the chanting cloak did for Laura is it allowed her to engage multiple interests, such as how technology can sit along experiences of discomfort and rage, also her own somatic interests in the ideas of chanting and mindful breathing, as well as a fascination toward industrial droning sounds. Overall, the cloak was effective at taking previously unnoticed or annoying sounds and turning them into a source of catharsis or interest. There were 3 main takeaways that we discuss in depth in the paper. I quickly want to tell you about 2 of them. As I alluded to earlier, we came to understand our own experiences as authors with ASMR as experiences of enchantment. We moved away from seeing ASMR media as a tool for tingles and toward an inspiring aesthetic experience. And this enabled us to understand it as a powerful example of enchantment in action. We believe that our autobiographical approach was essential in getting to this realization because we were able to tackle ineffable embodied experiences such as ASMR and enchantment through design. Our first-person research through design process enabled us to design technology in response to each of our unique experiences of enchantment, catering to our evolving preferences and personal fascinations, such as industrial droning sounds or the sound of tapping on office supplies. In using our garments, we felt joy, catharsis, mindfulness, and inspiration in our surroundings, even when we least expected it. The shift away from tingles and onto the aesthetics and tactics of ASMR and how they can frame or structure an environment also led us to see our designs as filters of environmental sounds as opposed to sound-producing sources. For example, the chanting cloak emphasizes droning environmental sounds, while the listening jacket amplifies sounds in response to gestures of curiosity. A filter represents a new, intimate connection that can emerge between a body, an environment, and an interactive layer. It's a way of filtering perception the same way that adding a color filter to a photograph might. In the scope of this project, our filters helped attune us to our surroundings in a way that inspired enchantment, but the idea of wearable designs as filters for a broader range of experiences is something that we hope to expand upon in the future. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much.